Every time I go to the server to find every friend in the house wants to see me tonight. With a little shutdown, I feel it just right. All I wanna do is see a beautiful sunlight.
Hello people, it's Poet, and we are back on the TimeShot server. And what I want to talk about today is nothing really serious. I know that I've been talking about a lot of different serious topics and things like that, and so thought I'd talk about something a little bit more lighthearted today. And while I'm doing that, I want to fix up maybe that giant wall that we're going to start working on, and maybe start the roof of the house, the first house. Just try to get some of that done. But yeah, I guess we could jump right into the topic of today that I kind of wanted to talk about. I don't really know why I wanted to talk about it either. It's not really interesting to most people, I think, but I don't know. I have a confession in that, now that I work on my own, I work from home, self-employed, doing this full-time, I do sort of a routine, not really a routine. I don't stick to routine. And I know that's like a lot of people like rational thinking and rational thinkers and things like that. And I said in one episode earlier that I live on the irrational side of things, and that's totally the truth. Oops, I hit one that I shouldn't have. Because irrationally, every morning I have like a completely different thing that I do. And some people stick to one thing that they do every morning. My dad was especially this way, in that basically every single morning he wakes up at the exact same time, and every single morning he eats the exact same thing, and he opens the exact same window and does the exact same thing with the dog. And it was like, when I was still living at home, it was always, I would wake up in the morning before him, because I used to have to get to work before him, and I would be sitting there on the couch, kind of just trying to wake up, in a daze, trying to wake up. And he would walk in every single morning into the living room, and he would have the same exact routine. I could almost count the steps and say, like, okay, 3 steps to there, open that window, walk over to here, do this, go over here, turn on the coffee maker, go over here, take the bowl. Like, it was just always step by step by step by step, regimented. He always had the exact same routine. Whereas me, I don't have a routine at all. Living on my own, living back there, living anywhere, I've never had a routine. So what I basically do in the morning, I wake up, I usually have my shower and get dressed, and then I decide, what am I going to have for breakfast, if I'm going to have a breakfast at all. I haven't had a breakfast today, and I'm fine with that. I'm not that hungry. I'm a little hungry, but I'm not that hungry. I'd rather record right now. I don't have my hand on the mouse. I have my hand on a cup of coffee, and it's like hovering above my face. I want to have this coffee, so excuse me for a second. It's good. It's getting cold, though. By the time this recording is over, it will be cold, and I'll have to go heat it up. Which is irrational, right? You'd think that I would have had my coffee before I started recording, but I live on the irrational. I don't want to wait for my coffee. I want to record right now, and so I will. And what does that have to do with anything? Well, often what I do, if you can call it a routine at all, is I wake up, I do all those things, I sometimes make coffee. I did today. I sometimes make a coffee. And what basically happens then is I'll turn on the TV. And this is kind of a routine in that I will always turn on the TV when I'm eating. And I don't know why. It's just something that I do. I have to have the TV on. It's not like I if I don't have the TV on, I can't eat. But I prefer to have it on, maybe just for some background noise of some kind. But I turn on the TV, and usually because it's fairly early morning, it's not too early in the morning, but daytime TV has already begun, and this is my confession that I watch some daytime TV. Shows like Judge Judy, that's personal favorite. I'll tell you why. Because I just love the social experiment that it is in my mind. It's not really a social experiment to them, but I look at a show like Judge Judy. Now, I'm sure that most of you have seen it, or at least have an idea of what it's about or what it is. It's dark up there. I'm going to actually... Oh, Liam's on. I can't sleep. Okay. Well, I will just have to face the darkness then. But anyway, I'm sure that most of you know what Judge Judy is like. There's other ones out there like the People's Court. There's Judge Alex now. There's Divorce Court. There's Judge Joe Brown, I think, was one. Oh boy, there's a whole bunch. They're really, really, really popular for daytime television. Is these fake court shows, and just taking apart the aspects of one of these shows is so fun for my brain to think about, like, what's really going on here. Because look at this, a spider jockey wearing armor. I didn't know that they could do that, and he has an enchanted bow. That was nuts. I've never seen anything like that. But anyway, these shows are really popular. But there's like this underlying truth behind them. And I'm not saying like the court cases are real, the people are real. That's what they always say. But of course they're real people. They're not mannequins. Doesn't mean that their cases are actually being served in a real way. See, there's lots of different elements to the show, and that's kind of what I wanted to play around with today with my talk, because I've thought about this often. Because I watch Judge Judy. Like I said, that's my personal favorite one, because I like the way that she handles the clients, the prosecution or the defense, how she just puts them in her place. And the thing is, here's element number one, I'll call it, are the cases themselves. I can pick apart all these cases and put them into different elements. I don't know if I'll do that, but number one is the cases themselves, where you'll have two people or a couple people prosecuting for some reason. And generally it will be something... This is what I find more often now than how it used to be. But it'll be something that is so obvious. And I don't know why. Like, maybe they're doing this for Judge Judy. I think she's retired now. I think these are all syndicated shows from like a couple years ago. I'm fairly certain that she's no longer doing the show anymore. I know that she had this huge thing on Larry King back when Larry King was still around, that she was not going to be doing it anymore. But it's still on TV. It's all syndicated. It's not like it's, new episode. In case you don't know, I got my my Canadian jersey on. Here, I'll show you. See? My Team Canada jersey. I know that I showed it off in a couple other series and stuff, but showing it off here. I won't wear it forever. I'm just wearing it because I like it right now. Okay? Good. But anyway, as I was saying, I don't know if they're dumbing it down, like, because this is near the ending of her career as a daytime TV judge, but it seems like the cases are just so mind-numbingly easy to solve. Like, they just give her the most... I don't know, maybe she likes that. Maybe she likes having the easy cases. But here's an example. Like, you'll get someone who will have something done to his car. Okay? he lent his car to a friend, and the friend did something to the car, and the judge will ultimately say something like, well, pay him back then. You know, like, you did that to his car. Okay. Pay him back. That's it. And they won't really, it's like I said, it's almost too easy to solve. There's nothing to these cases. It's not like you're in a spot where you have to really think about who could be at fault here. How am I going to rule? And one of the judges on TV, this Judge Alex that's on there, he'll even say, like, how do you think that I ruled in this case? Text something something to this number and find out. And usually it's just so mind-numbingly obvious how they ruled. Because the cases are ridiculous. The cases are just absolutely ridiculous. You know, like, they had one the other day where someone had done damage to this property. They hadn't paid their rent. And the judge was basically like, well, then pay your rent. You know, how much are you owed? X amount of dollars. Okay, then pay X amount of dollars. You know, it was just like, well, that was easy. You know, that's almost too easy. But that's the way that it kind of goes these days, is that, you know, you almost can't look at it in a way that it would be difficult to figure out who's at fault and that kind of thing. So there's always that element of it. Like, so then, if it was really that easy to solve, if it was really that easy to figure out, here's the sub-element to it, and this is why I wanted to talk about it and why I really like watching them in general, is because you got to think about, okay, these two people obviously don't get along. Or, asterisk, or they could be faking it. And there's a really good reason to fake it. I'll get to that in a second. But there's another or, you know, maybe, like, I can't imagine a real courtroom handling cases like this. Could you imagine, if you're a small claims judge, how mind-numbingly horrible it must be every day to come in and deal with people who, it's like, the defendant didn't pay rent. Okay, well, did you live there? Yes. Okay, pay your rent. You know, that's basically what it boils down to on shows like Judge Judy. So, are you telling me that really happens in small claims court every single day, hundreds of times? Those judges must just, how do you like what you do at the end of the day? How do you feel like you're doing justice, like justice is being served? You are dealing with people who are absolutely, I mean, they're morons, to be quite frank. If you have no idea how to handle the situation on your own, it's kind of crazy. It's really crazy, actually. So, I mean, there's that element to it, definitely. But the thing is, why they might want to lie that they don't know how to handle it, or, you know, lie that it's even an issue at all, is because you read the very fine print. At the end of every episode, they have this really fine print that flashes on the screen, and it's basically the same for every single court show out there. I know it's definitely the case for the People's Court, and I think the same for Judge Judy and stuff like that, but basically what happens is, when you have your court case served by this court, this TV judge, you are agreeing to the fact that you cannot take it to a real court, that you are getting it dealt with on this TV court. Like, that is one rule. Okay? The second thing is that you will get about $1,000, it's maybe more like $1,200, for appearing on the show. Both parties get that. So the defense gets that, and the prosecution gets that. You both get $1,200. Here you go. Have money for being on the show. Now, if you think about it, if you know that you're at fault, if you know that you haven't paid this person's rent, and that they want their rent, and that your rent is going to cost you $600 or something, then wouldn't you want to go on a show that'll basically pay you $1,200 to talk about it on TV? So that you can lie about it, pretend that you don't know what's going on, pretend that you don't owe that much money, and then you get paid double that, pay off your debt, and it's done. And it's done. You both win. Meanwhile, the prosecution gets $1,200 plus some. You know, whatever the settlement was. So, I mean, there's huge reasons why people would lie to get on that show. Lie that they can't deal with it. Lie that they have no idea how. And to be honest, the court TV judges, they don't care. Why would they ever care if you're lying or if you're not? They go in, they say, yeah, you owe that much rent. Okay, goodbye. Stop wasting my time. And if you're a quirky person that can kind of rile up the judge, then that's even better. Maybe they pay you double. I don't know. But, like, there are so many different little elements to those shows that you have to wonder about, like the social aspect. The third point is the more, I don't know, what would you call that? Fourth person? No, I don't know what viewership that would be looking on in. But looking at the people who actually watch the show. Present company excluded, of course. For me, I watch the show because I think they're actually kind of entertaining. I like the reactions of the judge to these people who are complete. I mean, none of them are very well off, and that's maybe another element to it as well. That, you know, you don't get anybody on these shows who has means. They need that money. You know, they need that $1,200 that they get from the show. And this is the reason that you get people appearing on shows like Maury, and you get people appearing on shows like Judge Judy. That these people aren't very well off, and it's kind of unfortunate that we're gawking at them for our entertainment, even though they really desperately need the money. But you know, people do it for entertainment. That's why I watch. But there's something that can be said about the people who watch. They're chiefly unemployed. They are sometimes disabled, sometimes because of some workplace injury. You know, they are people who don't... You gotta think. Like, if you're running a television show and it's during the day, who are you appealing to? If it's not children who aren't in school, who are you appealing to? You are appealing to people who are either homesick or people who are home for other reasons, like they are unemployed or they are disabled or, you know, something like that. Hey, go away. This is my carrot. So you get commercials, and these commercials are just so bad, and I laugh at them just because of how obvious they are that the target audience is that kind of person. Like, you'll get all of the training institutes, and I got a job so easily by going to blah, 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 blah. And you'll get the commercials for, like, you know, were you in a hit-and-run injury? We can get you the money you deserve. And lots of different things for life insurance. And, you know, obviously elderly people are often retired and don't work either. Like, you get all of the target audiences so blatantly, basically hammed up, for lack of a better word. You get all the target audiences in the commercials, and it's kind of funny the way that they do that, you know? But I guess that's what they have to. That's their source of income. Let's see. I'd rather get rid of the sticks for 5 logs. Good investment, I think. But yeah, there's just so many elements to it. and I thought that it was kind of funny. Which sort of leads me to my next point of interest. And it's nothing to do with the TV judges and stuff like that. But sort of a generalization for TV in general and just how dumbed down it's become. And I mean, TV's been like this since the 90s, since forever. Since forever, TV has been dumbed down quite a bit. But it seems more the case recently. I don't know, maybe it's just the way that I feel. But I don't know, you can't watch anything good on TV anymore. We're all made to feel like, why should TV during the day be for people who are of that type of target audience, you know? I know that that's where the money is, but still, what about educational shows? What about good shows? They're all saved for prime time. It's all about money. It's a crazy thing. But even the prime time shows of today, they're not that great. Like, I think I've admitted before that I like watching older movies. I'm an old soul in that way, where a movie from the 60s doesn't scare me. A movie from the 50s doesn't scare me. I watched the other day a movie from 1939, I think, and I enjoyed it. And I enjoy those movies. And people could say, how? But if you say how, then it's because you haven't watched those kinds of movies. You haven't sat through one. You haven't taken the time to appreciate one. That's... how should go without saying. They are good movies. You know, just because they're old doesn't make them bad. And quite often today, I mean, I can have the same argument for video games and things like that, you know. Quite often people scoff at old video games as being bad in some way for various reasons. And really there's no reason for it, you know. You got to appreciate some of the older things out there. Just because it doesn't have the latest, greatest, best graphics out there doesn't make it bad, you know. And that's why I think when you have a console come out that doesn't really care so much about the newest, greatest, latest graphics, people still appreciate it. And that's a good thing, you know. When you get the newest video games out there for like PlayStation or Xbox or whatever, and they're selling it based on how exquisite the graphics are. What happened to good gameplay? What happened to, you know, all the good qualities of a video game? The storyline, the playability, the different aspects of it. But movies have the same thing. You know, I watch a movie like, I don't know, a good example would be The Monuments Men. I just watched it. It's a movie about World War II, saving artworks during World War II, and I hated the movie. I mean, I've thought about it now. Time has passed. I've thought about how the movie was, how it made me feel, what elements were in the movie, and I now have chosen quite boldly that I dislike it. And the reason was because it wasn't written very well. It was rushed. I don't know. It was just something about it wasn't good. I could go on about why it wasn't good, really, but I won't, because that's not really what I'm talking about. But you know, it was at least an attempt to mean something. They wanted to mean something. And I think, unfortunately, they failed. But at least they were trying. You know, I could see that much. Which was a good thing. And movies do so little these days. You know, you look at Hunger Games. Pick one. You know, whichever, the first or the sequel, the one coming up. You look at that, and the entire movie is about the graphics, about, you know, the storyline's in there, definitely, but come on. I mean, seriously, come on. It's not about the storyline. It's definitely not about the storyline. I know that it's based on a book, and maybe the books were okay, but the movie is not about the book storyline. You know, the same way that I can watch Jurassic Park, and having read the book, I can tell you that Jurassic Park was about, at the time, the graphics. Wasn't really graphics, it was animatronics and things like that. But it was about the effects. It was about the effects of the movie, the budget of the movie, and making it a good movie. It wasn't about the story. Now, what does this have to do with anything at all? Well, like I was saying, I watch old movies. And at the same time, also, some old television shows. Old shows that might be on. I enjoy watching them as well. And there's something about them that it blows movies and television of today out of the water. Just destroys them as far as like dialogue goes, as far as capturing your attention. It blows everything out of the water of today. And people would completely deny this. People of today who watch only the stuff of today. I think only because they haven't taken the time to watch the stuff of yesterday. I watched a movie today, and it was so well written. Like, back then, you had writers who actually knew a thing or two about movies. It wasn't about, like, okay, let's add the best effects, let's add the best car chase, let's add the most amount of killing or gore or blood, let's add the best effects, let's add more lens flares and blooming and, you know, graphics and different things to capture people. Like, they had writers who knew what they were doing, who really were talented. You know, when a movie won an Oscar back then, an Academy Award, it deserved it. More likely than not, it deserved it because it was very well written. And, you know, today, you don't get that a lot. The big blockbuster like Batman or something will win for best movie, best actor, best this and that. And maybe it's true, you know, maybe. But if you compare it to some of the older movies out there, it couldn't hold a candle to them. And maybe this is just my opinion, and I think that it is. Of course it is. But I think that people need to pay attention to it a little bit more. Like, the movies of the past were actually genuinely good. Like I said, I watched one today, and the writing, like, I just wish I could remember all of the quotes. The quotes were so intricate, and the quotes weren't just like one-liners. That's the big difference. That's what I want to talk about. That's the big difference. Is that you can get movies like today, Lord of the Rings or something, where you get a memorable quote. You know, you shall not pass. You know, something like that. Why so serious? You know, a quote like that. One quote that you can remember. You get an older movie, and there weren't just, it wasn't just a one-liner that you remember, you know. Although, of course, older movies had that too. You know, the whole, here's looking at you, kid, or, you know, we'll always have Paris type of thing. But they would go on for long conversations. Long conversations in this movie. And the way that they conversed, the way that one person would say something and then the other person would counter it with a comment, and then that comment would be countered again. And it was just so well written. And every single line could have been something out of a fairy tale, could have been something out of the most amazing romantic novel. It could have been it was just the whole thing written so well. And now these movies, of course, won critical acclaim back then. They got Academy Awards for best writing, best screenplay, best actors, best everything. But all I'm saying is you compare it to today, and you often wonder why we eat what we're fed. And this touches back on the whole Judge Judy, watching it on TV and stuff. Why can't we have good quality content on TV? I'm not saying that those shows are bad, because I do watch them. But at the same time, I long for a really educational show that really tests my intellect, that begs me to think, that sparks my imagination. You know, I'm looking for quality content like that. I don't care about the Jerry Springers out there. I don't care about the Judge Judys out there and things like that. You know, when I watch shows like that, yeah, they're entertaining, but do I really care about them? Would I care tomorrow if, oh, that's not on TV anymore? Okay, flip the channel, you know? I remember a time when there were things on TV where when they ended, when they had their season finale, everyone watched. Everyone watched. Millions watched. Because of how entertained they were, how good it was. And you get that less and less these days. I mean, you still get it. But what I'm saying is, when you get it, it's almost ignorant. Like, people love certain things and worship certain things and think things are so amazing, but maybe it's because that's all that they know. They don't know any better. They don't know that writing could be so much better, that television could be so much better, even that YouTube could be so much better. When I look at certain YouTubers out there, ones who have in the millions of subscribers and things like that, I often, and this is not just me, this is a lot of people who are in the community, and I've often said many different reasons of why they are popular and other people aren't. You know, why is so-and-so doing so well? And he gets, or she gets, subscribers effortlessly. And he gets, or she gets, thousands of followers and comments and fan art and just crazy amounts of praise. For what? It's because people are fed things that are generally bad, but they don't know any better. It's almost like you have to be educated on what's good first. And I'm not saying for a second, don't think that I'm all high and mighty and that I'm saying, well, you know, because my channel is obviously really good and, you know, blah, blah, blah. No, this has nothing to do with it. I've talked several times in the past about how I see other channels out there who deserve so much. If you can say that a channel deserves something, they deserve so much for what they do, and they don't get it. And, you know, that's just the world that we live in, where people almost need to be educated on what's good and what's bad, because they'll see someone with 1 million subscribers and they'll subscribe to that person. Why? Because they have good content? Maybe they do. But they're subscribing because that person has 1 million subscribers. They're not subscribing because that person has good content. Not first. Not first and foremost. If it was based on content alone, there are people out there who deserve so much and get so little. It's always about being noticed first these days, and not about, you know, the writing, not about what you do, not about how you do it. It's about being noticed. It's who you know. And it's kind of unfortunate in a way that YouTube's like that, television's like that, the world's like that. But it is what it is, I guess. I can't really complain. I'm doing this professionally, and I'm enjoying it. That's all that I can ask for. If I never grew again, I'd be fine. As long as I can maintain what I've got. I don't need to be 1 million gazillion subs. I don't need to get 1 million gazillion views. I am perfectly happy with what I have. And I'm very proud to be able to say that. I'm very fortunate to be able to say that. There are people out there who really wish very hard, and you know, they wish more than anything that they could have the same, be in the same situation that I'm in. And, you know, like I say, I'm very fortunate that I can be. Kind of gone off on a huge tangent because we were talking about why movies aren't very good today and why movies of the past are. But it so relates to what I first talked about, in that, you know, daytime TV has so many different elements to it that you can kind of laugh about because that's the society that we live in. You know, we live in a society where shows like that will always be popular. Shows that have absolutely no educational value whatsoever, that were made with the intelligence of a sack of rocks, they will always be out there. They will have great numbers of popularity. I wonder what the ratings to a show like Judge Judy or one of those shows like Maury get. I would actually fetch it's in the millions. As funny as that sounds, if you add it up enough, they definitely have a following, and that's funny. You know, that's says so much about our society and where we are now. Because definitely the other element, especially on the YouTuber front, is that you do get people who are not very good, who do not have very much talent, who don't do very good with what they do. And, you know, there are people out there who do so well and get so little. People who do so... I mean... And people who do so much and get so little. Wait, did I word that right? No, they get... Yeah. People who get so much and do so little, and people who do nothing and get so much. Yeah, those are the two aspects of it. You get that quite often, and it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate that we live in that kind of world, that society, that people hone into the ridiculous, the stupid, the uneducational, and cling to it, you know. I'll watch, and this will be a personal attack. And like I say, my opinion's my own. I don't expect anybody to have the same opinion. You have your own opinion. Maybe it agrees with mine, but I don't expect it to. I'm just voicing what I think. There are people who do trolling videos in Minecraft and things like that. People who do videos where just ridiculous things go on. Ridiculous. Nothing very important. Like, here I am. I'm pouring my heart out about a useless subject, but I'm putting my heart and soul in what I say. Will it get very many views? It might get a few thousand. But there are people out there who will do a 10-minute clip of them falling off of a Minecraft tree or something, and it'll get in the millions of views. And some of those are not very, very nice. You know, you'll get people who blatantly troll other people, and I don't mean like for fun trolling other people. You know, like if someone says something, you say something opposite, and you have fun with them, or you prank them in Minecraft or something like that. We're talking about like people going on servers and causing trouble. People going on servers and basically ruining what someone worked on. You know, griefing what they worked on. And they'll publish that video and it'll get thousands of views. People give these people, the viewers give these people the following, and I don't know why. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous. That's a pretty good one. I like that pick. Wish for a silk touch, to be honest. But my Fortune 2 pick is dying, so... let's see. Do I have any... I think I have some diamonds. Let's see how much it would cost to repair. 19 levels to get only that far, huh? Yikes. Okay. Hey, what's this? An efficiency 4. I could combine that and get an efficiency 5. 32 levels? Yikes. But boy, would that ever be a wicked pick, wouldn't it? 32 levels. I'll try to remember. I'll put that away for now. I might put that away too until I get enough levels to repair it, because it will break. But anyway, I'm trying to speak my mind as the best that I can without it sounding like some kind of fit of jealousy or anything like that. I'm just saying from like what I've seen because I opened my mind to, you know what we talked about, open-mindedness. I opened my mind to older videos, to older things, to classics, to things that were great once. And maybe that's just me from a historian standpoint, from a scholarly standpoint. I used to love ancient history. I took 3 years of archaeology and ancient studies because that's actually what one of my passions was. But, you know, maybe that made me appreciate the older things a little bit better. I don't know. At the end of the day, I think what we have in front of us sometimes, like, people should be offended that we are sold what we are sold, that we are given what we are given. You know, you should be offended that you're thought of as I mean, when they make shows like this, when they make movies like this that just appeal to, you know, the good graphics and good effects and things like that, and when they make video games where it's just, again, good graphics and no content, or, you know, things like that, I think that you guys, the people watching, you guys should be offended. You should feel offended that you are being sold that kind of stuff because they don't think that you're very clever. They think that you will buy whatever that they say that you will buy. You know, that's just the way that it is. You have no concept of what's good because that's what you've been raised on. And so just take it and appreciate it. And people do. It happens with YouTubers where, you know, people who have had 1 million subscribers for 5 years will continue to get 1 million subscribers because it's what people know. It's what people know. They are ignorant to the things that are better out there. They don't go out of their way to explore better things, different things. That's why, like, I see that most of my viewers, most of the people who watch my stuff are also subscribed to the much huger, larger, bigger channels, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I can kind of put the dots together, connect the dots and say, yeah, they probably subscribed to me because they were looking for a video from this other person, and therefore, you know, they got my content. And it just so happened that day, for some miracle of YouTube, my content appeared above so-and-so's content. And, you know, you ended up checking it out. And that's, you know, it's amazing that people actually went out of their way to check out that kind of content. I appreciate that. That is what I want. That is what we should get more of in the world. I think I'm going to end this episode here because now I'm just going to bounce around and do nothing, as I usually do towards the end of the video when I'm still talking and yammering on. But I guess what I ultimately wanted to say about the whole subject is that I've talked about open-mindedness in the past, and I've talked even about, you know, how people become popular on YouTube in the past, and about how people who have less deserve more. But I guess what I wanted to say is just be open-minded about other things as well. Not just about, you know, your life in general, about, you know, what you believe in, but think better of yourself. Don't think for a second that you have to settle for bad quality content simply because it's what you're fed. You know, when a movie is genuinely bad, say that it's bad. And maybe you like the effects and stuff. I know that I do. I love a movie with good effects. With lots of violence and gore and blood and effects and graphics and the new Star Trek movies. I loved them, with all their lens flares and action and content. And, I watch all of those movies with writing that is probably not very good at all. I enjoyed the Hunger Games movies. I admit that. They were entertaining. But it's just like with Judge Judy. I find it entertaining, but do I find it good? Do I find the quality of it good? And I'm intelligent enough to say no, the quality of it wasn't that good. And I can laugh at that. I hope that you guys can too. I hope you can look back on some of the older movies, watch some, and appreciate them. I watched Ben-Hur the other day. Major classic movie. And just the concepts in that movie. It's not so much the fact that the graphics weren't good. For a movie made eons ago, it seems. But the writing was really good. The storyline was really good. The underlying elements were really good. The characters were really good. You got to keep in mind that these were no-name actors at the time. Like nobodies. And they made names for themselves because of how good they were. These days, you put a huge name on a title, and it's popular. Same about YouTube. You get a nobody, they can act really great. They can do really great things. It'll never be popular. You put a big name on it, it'll be super popular. And that we're falling away from the independent aspect of video making, of television, of movies, and of YouTube. I know that video games, thankfully, video games are slowly starting to get back into the independent aspect of it, where you get a developer who just wants to make a game for fun, and people are buying them, people are loving them. I really hope that YouTube and that movies and that television starts becoming that way. That would be a wonderful, wonderful thing, in my opinion. That's the whole topic. So thank you guys for watching. I think I'm going to end it here for sure. Didn't get a whole lot finished, but I enjoyed talking about that. I could definitely go on. I know that there was probably so much more that I wanted to talk about. I should have wrote down little point notes, but I never do. But anyway, again, thank you for watching. Like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Even though I might not have 1 million subscribers. And do all those other awesome things that you people do. We'll see you next time on the TimeShot server. Bye-bye. Oh, yes. And before I go, yes, Liam is pretty cool, eh? Bye-bye.